Razer wants you to find your flow state in the Fujin Pro. But are the flex zones in the Ergohuman the better answer for maximum comfort? These two chairs enter as equal competitors, with the Fujin priced at $1,049 and the Ergohuman Gen2 at $912. With a 14% difference, price shouldn't be a major factor when considering which of these chairs is best for you. I'll quickly address the elephant in the room. It's no secret I'm a huge fan of the Herman Miller Aeron. But since the Aeron is $1,750, I put it in a completely different class of chairs. What surprised me is that there are elements of these $1,000 chairs that I prefer over the Aeron. I'll hit on those as I work my way through the chairs. If you're interested in how these two chairs rank against the Aeron and all the top gaming and ergonomic chairs, click the link in the description to get our full buying guide. Before I go too far, I want to make something clear. There's nothing about the Fujin Pro that is more gaming than the Ergohuman. Just like there's nothing about the Ergohuman that makes it any better suited for an office compared to the Fujin. They may be marketed that way, and because one is from the brand Razer, it may seem they are in different categories, but really they're not. During the unboxing and assembly of an office chair, you can usually get a good idea of the build quality. Starting out with the Fujin, I was immediately impressed with the quality of materials. The aluminum alloy frame feels premium and sturdy. The assembly process, although extensive, was made easy with clear instructions. An advantage the Fujin has over the Ergohuman was that the parts seemed better packaged, ensuring that they were protected during shipping. The assembly of the Ergohuman is a little more simple and doesn't take more than 10 minutes. Again, it was clear to see the good quality of materials throughout the frame, mechanism, and mesh. Many high-end chairs have gone the route of mesh backrests because of how comfortable and cool they feel. So it's no surprise that the backrest is a highlight of each of these chairs. Looking at the Fujin, my first impression is that the backrest felt very upright, kind of pushing me forward. However, with some adjustment like cranking up the lumbar support, I was able to get more comfortable in the chair. The wide back also provides some freedom of movement, not from flexibility, but because you don't feel locked in one position. A very common problem is sinking through the mesh and hitting the backrest frame, but there's no issues here with the Fujin. There's also some adjustability in the lumbar support. Personally, I like a lot of support in this area, and you can notice the difference as you crank it up to your liking. Moving over to the Ergohuman, this is where the flex zones come into play, as you can see how flexible the lumbar support is. The Gen 1 Ergohuman has always been one of my top picks for lumbar support, and the Gen 2 backrest continues to advance this tech forward. A big improvement on the Gen 2 is that the backrest now positions you in a more upright position with proper support throughout your entire back. This change eliminated the issue of the headrest getting in the way and preventing you from the proper support for your upper back. The Gen 2 also introduced an adjustable lumbar tension system with a wide range, allowing you to really customize the level of support. The backrest also offers a ratchet height adjustment system for even more customization. These changes help you to put the lumbar support in the perfect spot for ultimate comfort. I'll give the backrest comfort win to the Ergohuman because I prefer the lumbar support system. Designing a comfortable mesh seat is a big challenge, and these two chairs took different approaches to solving the common issues. Razer gave their chair a relatively flat seat, but then added a significant waterfall front edge. The purpose of this is to alleviate the inevitable pressure you get under your thighs as you push into the front edge of the seat. In addition of a firm pad under the mesh is their second design choice to try to fix this issue. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is you sink into the back part of the seat and your legs push hard into that pad. Now, it might sound comfortable having that perfectly placed pad, but all it does is create a strong pressure point. Fortunately, the Gen 2 Ergohuman not only upgraded their backrest, but the seat was greatly improved. The Gen 1 model had a similar front edge pad like the Fujin, but Eurotech found a way to remove the pad and keep your legs suspended above the frame, similar to how Herman Miller managed to redesign the Aeron, massively improving the seat by removing the pad. The Gen 2 was also redesigned to have a flatter seat frame, paired with a new waterfall front. All these changes succeed in eliminating awkward pressure points and allowing a better weight distribution. Now, mesh chairs are very polarizing, and even the best ones aren't ideal for long sitting sessions. But I found that I could comfortably work for long hours in the Ergohuman without having any issues. An advantage both of these chairs have over the Aeron is an adjustable seat depth. With the Aeron, you need to buy different sized chairs to fit different body types, rather than adding the seat depth adjustment. So this may be another win for the Ergohuman, but things are about to turn in the Fujin's favor. Moving on to the armrest, Razer includes 4-way adjustable arms with height, depth, width, and pivot adjustment. They chose to use buttons to release the adjustments, rather than letting the arm pads move freely by just grabbing them. The buttons are an extra step, but once you become familiar with them, it feels very natural to make changes. I like how this setup works because it locks the arms in place once you have them in your chosen position. Looking at the Ergohuman armrest, they simply slide into place without using buttons. The adjustment ranges of each arm pad set are very similar, with the biggest difference being the Ergohuman's ability to go very high. The height combined with pivot is nice for those who want to play games on mobile or use a tablet often. As everyone in the office got a chance to test out the Ergohuman, the cushy arm pads were constantly pointed out. Looking at our top-of-the-line Aeron, these are some true S-tier pads, but the Ergohuman isn't far behind them. The Razer's pads are also quite nice, but they're not at that same level. The Fujin Pro offers a highly adjustable headrest, a valuable addition for those who are spending long hours gaming. This has to be my favorite part of the chair. It includes 3 different adjustments and can be positioned to provide optimal support, even for tall individuals like myself. The 3 adjustments are height, the lower pivot, and top pivot. This is one area where the Fujin even beats out the top-of-the-line Aeron. With the Aeron, you would have to go to a third party to get a headrest, with the best option being the Atlas for $190. The headrest on the Ergohuman I've been using is a little bit of a mixed bag. You get height adjustment and top pivot. What's missing compared to the Fujin is that lower pivot point. This means the headrest stays further back, mainly being used for when you want to recline. In contrast, the Fujin headrest can be used while sitting straight up. The Ergohuman headrest is also a little more prone to moving on its own, but this is something they improved compared to their first Ergohuman. If I had to give these headrests a tier, the Fujin would be an A and the Ergohuman a B. I'd recommend both of these chairs with the headrest. Both chairs have a similar style recline with a very smooth synchro tilt. The Ergohuman continues to give you full lumbar support as you recline in the chair. With the Fujin Pro, the lumbar is less pronounced, so as you recline, there's less support there. Both chairs also allow you to lock the backrest back in different positions. Personally, I always run my chairs either locked up straight for intense tasking or gaming, or in full recline mode. Aesthetics are even more subjective than comfort, but personally, I really like the looks of the Fujin Pro. It's no surprise that a gaming company would make this a priority. I like how they made an effort to pair both a matte gray color frame with the other black frame elements. The mechanism is sleek with relatively hidden controls. It's not the overboard gaming looks of something like the Terminator or the Asus chair, but it adds some subtle style more reminiscent of the Steelcase Carmen. The Ergohuman is still a nice looking chair, and if you're a fan of chrome, this will likely be your favorite. The controls are also quite hidden, with one lever doing the majority of the work. The looks of the Ergohuman are very much in line with other office chairs of a similar price, making it a stylish option for a modern office. One advantage here is you get 3 different mesh options, black, gray, and blue, as opposed to the Fujin with only black. The mesh on each chair feels pretty similar, even though they look very different. Neither have the soft mesh you'd find on the Zodi or Carmen, but they also don't feel abrasive or cheap. It's no secret that we at BTOD sell the Ergohuman, but we also try to keep out that bias and promote the products we truly recommend. The Ergohuman Gen 1 is not something I personally would have recommended over the Fujin Pro. We even ranked it a C-tier chair a while back. This new Gen 2 version is an A-tier chair that I can finally feel comfortable recommending. So if you want to find your flow state, I say go with the flex zones in the Ergohuman.